Welcome to a very special episode 60 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am thrilled to still be your host, Bill Petrie. And like I said, we've got a fantastic show. Actually, it's my favorite podcast to record every year. No mystery guest. We all know Kirby Hasseman's going to be here, and we're going to get to the Powerhouse Women of Promo 2026 edition here in just a minute. But before we do, let's go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? There is so much good coming out of Bell Promo these days. And I wanted to share just a few with you. Lowest minimums in the industry? Yeah, you could Bell Promo that. The deepest inventory around? Of course you can Bell Promo that. 5-star and A+ service? You know you can Bell Promo the heck out of that. How about 2-day production on most of their products? You know you can Bell Promo that. And now, if that weren't enough, and I think it should be, the good folks at Bell Promo have a couple other things to share. Made in the USA merch? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Free shipping on tech and apparel products? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that too. I personally invite you to head over to bellpromo.com to see all their amazing products and feel confident that when your client asks you to create branded merchandise that's available with low minimums, 2-day production, you can tell them, yeah, you can Bell Promo that. All right, like I said, this is really one of my favorite podcasts. I'll go ahead and speak for Kirby. I think it's one of his too. It's something he and I started back in an old podcast called Unscripted that we used to do every week together. And by my calculations, this is our 9th annual version of it. And the reason we're dropping it today on March the 6th is Sunday is International Women's Day. And there's no better way to kick off the month than to celebrate, honor, and lift up some of the tremendous women in our industry doing equally tremendous things. So I get asked a lot, why do we do this? And I share some variation of that answer every year. And I'm going to do so again. This year, it's going to be a little different, though. I've said in the past, I've had many women who've absolutely supported me. Some of my favorite bosses, in fact, my favorite bosses, period, have always been women. But I really want, and I've discussed that in the past, so I don't want to be the redundant man of redundancy here. That being said, I think men, especially in a male-dominated industry, for which for many, many years, that's what it's been. I think there's specific reasons that we as men have a vital role in advancing women in the industry. So I wrote down a couple of them that I thought I'd share the real reason why this is so damned important for me personally. When we learn about the journey, is number one, I probably should say that. When we learn about the journeys of women who are doing tremendous things in the promotional products industry, what drives them, and how they overcame barriers, I think we inspire others to do the same. Number two, when we celebrate their successes and recognize their work, I think we help pave the path for future leaders. Number three, when we intentionally and proactively include women in the conversation in this traditionally male-dominated industry, I'd like to think we remove some of the barriers to career advancement. And last, when we elevate women, we not only challenge, I think we can change the stereotype, very wrong stereotypes that people have. And the one that always comes to mind, the one that always frustrates the absolute hell out of me is in the business world, if a man is assertive, if he's driven, he's seen as a leader, a man of action, and one who executes plans. Where, by contrast, if a woman is assertive, they're seen as loud, rude, and frankly, and I hate this word, but they're seen as bitchy. And nothing could be further from the truth. I can tell you that whole mindset just really cheeses me off. I don't want to change that. So I share all of this really for one reason and one reason only. It's everyone's responsibility to lift others up. I'm fortunate enough that I have whatever you think of this platform, I do have a platform to do that. And I'm equally fortunate to have someone like Kirby who's been willing to do this with me for 9 times, counting today. So I'm excited because it's an opportunity to shine the spotlight on some tremendous people who happen to be women doing fantastic things in the business world that happens to be the promotional products industry. So I invite you to sit back, listen. We're going to have a great time, and Can't wait to get to it. So enjoy the list. And I invite you to get to know some of these fabulous women. Now, before we do, I'm going to go ahead and pay one final bill. We'll bring on Kirby and we'll get right to it. Many people know how to build a business, but few understand not only when to sell that business, but the process involved to ensure that you find the right partner and maximize the return on your investment. Now, honestly, this is where you need an expert, especially one in the promotional product space to help you, which is where certified marketing consultants come in. Jamie Watson and her team have decades of experience facilitating private company sales in the branded merchandise space. Heck, she was on this list last year. I'd said I'd hire her to run my company. I would hire her to run my company. Now, to help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, reach out to Jamie and Certified Marketing Consultants at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, let's bring on my former partner, Kirby, and let's get to the list. My guest today, y'all know who he is. He doesn't need an introduction, and I don't even feel like wasting your time today. I generally do, but I don't want to today. Let's all welcome your friend, my friend, the one and only Kirbeth J. Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you? Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, brother. No, man, I am doing really, really well. And it's always good to catch up with you. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's like I'm in a good spot. My energy's good, all that. And then the fact that I get to talk to you about anything and then about this particular thing, I said right before we hit record, I'm like, you push me on this to do it. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you always do. So thank you for that.
Well, I thought you were going to say, I'm in a good space because, I get that. I thought you were going to say something really negative. So I'm glad you said something positive. Yes, I said on the little preamble to the podcast, the opening shot, that this is actually my favorite episode to record every year because we get to highlight women and the wonderful things that they're doing. So I don't know about you, Kirby. I say let's just get right into the 2026 list, shall we? I'm going to take
I
you
can't
drinking your
wait.
coffee as a
I
yes.
can't wait.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
No. All right. Let's start off with distributor woman to watch. It's our traditional kickoff to this fantastic episode. Kirby, who do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit of a different thing. I think this. So Kate Murray from American Solutions for Business is
Yep.
who came on the list for me. I know
Yep.
she's not necessarily in a traditional distributor role, like owning it or whatever, but in communications and PR with ASB. Of course, she was on the Rising Star list this year. I just feel like she's a really cool person, and I love what she's doing in the industry. So
I
Kate
love
Murray.
that. Love that. No, that's a fantastic one. Mine is Andrea Weston from Bob Lilly
Mm,
Promotions. I've known her for years, but I've gotten to know her a lot better over the last year, and she is so smart in
mm,
terms of how she works with her clients. She's super creative, and the one thing you can't teach anybody in sales is she cares. She cares very
mm.
deeply about the success of her clients, and I love that. And I think you're going to see some really great things from her coming in the next few years. I have an extra one, if you don't mind me adding
Yeah,
another
I
one.
love it.
All right.
Yeah.
The next one I'm going to add someone close to you up there in Ohio, the lovely and talented Aubrey Coughlin from
Mm,
Mirror Promotions. One of
yeah.
the things that strikes me about Aubrey is that she sees trends before most do. And that's a real gift, and it's a rare gift.
Yeah.
And I really, really like that about her. And she also has that thing, can't teach care. And I love that.
Mm.
So those are my two distributor women to watch.
Can as we've said, I always love this list, but I actually really love that because I think that you know the distributor world and some of the women in the distributor side better than I do. So each year on this one, I'm like I make notes, and Aubrey I know, so but
Yeah.
I always love your perspective on that.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So our next category, supplier woman to watch. Pretty hard to predict that one coming up. I'm going to start us off today. I'm going to go Lindsay Davis from Charles River Apparel.
Good
She
one.
had worked for a long time at Rainy Rose. She went to PPAI and she just recently accepted the VP of sales role at Charles River Apparel. She has incredible sales insight and tremendous leadership capabilities as well. And I think that is a real key pivotal hire for Charles River. And I think you're going to see really great things out of her leadership of that organization, that sales organization at Charles River. So Lindsay Davis, Charles River Apparel.
Such a solid choice. And I always know when it's like a big hire, when it's like I find myself going, "Oh, wow, that's a big
Yeah.
deal." And when she went over to Charles River, that was exactly my reaction. So I think that's a
Yeah.
solid choice. Ironically, I thought we were going to step on each other there for a second because my supplier woman to watch is Lindsay Bonds from ID Line.
Yep.
She's actually just accepted a new role in, I
Yep.
think, national key accounts there. Lindsay's one of those people that I'm continue to get to know on a regular basis. She's fun. She is, I think, driving innovation in the industry, and I love to see what she's doing too.
Couldn't agree with more with Lindsay. She was on the list last year, but as a woman on the rise. So I love that. And I'm going to add a bonus one because I
Okay,
I just am.
because you can.
Christina Beal from Totally Chocolate Promo. I
Mhm.
had a chance to work with her on a couple projects, and she really drove the rebranding of Chocolate Chocolate to Totally Chocolate Promo, and just real keen insight, very sharp mind for what her audience and distributors want and need. And man, you talk about passion. I love people who bring passion in what they do, and Christina Beal absolutely does that.
I love that one. That's great. This is a good one. Cool.
All right, Kirby. Category number three: service provider woman to watch. Why don't you go ahead? Who do you got?
Okay,
Who do you
so
got?
I'm going to go with, I actually went back and forth on this one. I had a couple that I was going to choose from, but I'm going to go with Sarah Rempel from Common SKU.
Very nice.
Sarah, again, so I'm a Common SKU user. I'm an OG, I think, as it is with Common SKU. We've been using it since 2014, and I love seeing the evolution of so many people who are
Yeah.
on that team or have been on that team. And Sarah's one that I feel like I watched come on as a young person, and she's still a young person, of course, but she's really evolved in her role, and I love to see the path that she's on, and I think she's killing it over there.
Love that. I've got two
Okay.
because I didn't pay attention to my own assignment saying we were only going to do one.
No, I think two's great, buddy. The
So
more we
I'm doing
recognize, the
two.
better. So
I'm
it's
doing
good.
two. Number one is Ashley McCune. If you don't know Ashley McCune, you need to. She used to run Facilis Group, left there a few years ago, and started off a consulting agency called Exec to Coach, and has some really, really great leaders there. David Nicholson, formerly of PCNA, Chuck Fandos, formerly of Facilis, and many other people.
Wow.
They do such a great job. And having known Ashley a little bit, we've had many conversations over the years. She is smart as a whip, and I just love what she's doing with Exec to Coach. And the other one I'm going to mention is a former Kuzi Group executive, also had a cup of coffee at Exec to Coach. That would be
Okay.
Melissa Ralston, who is the
Mm.
Chief Marketing Officer over at PPAI. I've had a chance to work with her as I rolled off the Promotional Products Education Foundation board as the Vice Chair of Marketing and transitioned some things to her. And wow, the vision she has for PPAI and that technically is a service provider,
Yeah.
at least in my world on this list. So my list, I
It
don't
is.
care.
Yeah, that's right.
She's really going to do some great things there, and I'm excited for her. So Ashley McCune from Exec to Coach, Melissa Ralston from Promotional Products Association International.
Yeah, and I tell you, I don't know Melissa
Yeah,
that well or whatever, but everybody I talk to, it is funny how it's like absolutely unanimous the
yeah,
glowing recommendations I'm hearing from PPI about that. So
yeah.
that's a great choice.
She's fantastic. All right, we referenced this category earlier when in regards to the lovely and talented Lindsay Bonds. Let's go, woman on the rise. I'll start us off. This is a family that is just one of those families in the promotional products industry. And I'm going to go Morgan Corey Douglas here from HIT. She's the director of apparel there. She's also the
Yes.
Promotional Products Association Mid South president right now. Morgan Corey, obviously, her
Jeez.
dad is Paul Corey, who I know you know very well and I'm
Yeah.
very good friends with. And then Megan Corey, Megan Pachin now. But I've known her for 20 years. And so I feel like I've known that family forever. She's married to Joe Douglas now in the industry, British Joe. And she is just, when I think of someone who could walk into a room and light it up, she has
Mm.
such effervescence about her. Good things are destined for her. So
Yeah.
Morgan Corey Douglas, woman on the rise.
Love that. Like I said, every time we do this, I'm always like, oh yeah, so that's a great choice. Um, This one's going to be a little bit off, I think, because I've had her before. So calling her a woman on the rise, but go with me on this. It's Kara Keister from Social Good Promotions.
Okay.
And part of it, I'm looking at it, viewing it through the lens of her. Of course, she's got Social Good, which is she's,
Right.
growing that organization, but also with her give back in her leadership through PPAI and RAC and all those sort of things. I love sort of the path that she's creating there. And so that's what I mean by it on the rise, because I think her star is on the rise. And she's one of those people who's smart. And she, like you said, she's bubbly, but she's also, I love her candor.
Yeah.
Not everybody can tell you the truth that you don't want to hear straight to your face, and you thank them for it. And Kara
Yeah.
is one of those people, and I think there's such a skill to that I think is cool.
Love the addition of Kara there, and I just had a conversation with her last week, and you hit every nail on the head. So that's a perfect one. I'm going to add one more, as I think I just told everybody I'm going to.
Yeah.
Rena Wells Ashfeld from Spectre and Company. Now, Rena's been
Yeah.
in the industry for quite a while. I've served with her on the old rack board a long time ago. She's really made a name for herself at Spectre. She's
Mm.
always been great, but she's been very, very intentional about her growth. And she's been recently promoted there. And I really think she's doing some wonderful things over there at Spectre. No, she and Spectre's got such a great team
Big
of
time.
people, but specifically for this podcast, women, you've got Sam Cates, who's running a lot of
Mm.
it, and then you've got Ashley. Ashley, I'm losing her last name because I'm tired right
Coletti.
now. Thank you, Ashley Coletti. She's going to kill
Yep.
me. Sorry, Ashley. I'll buy you an espresso martini next time I see you. But Ashley Coletti, who's also doing some great things in digital transformation. So they've got a great team there. But Rena Wells Ashfield's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I love it. You read my mind in the sense that when the moment anybody says Spectre right now, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, they're building such a great team. And so totally agree with that one. That's good.
They are. All right. The Janelle Nevins Memorial Trade Trailblazer Woman. So I always like to explain this for people who are listening this first time. Janelle Nevins worked at Summit Group, and she really was the first woman I'm aware of who really made inroads into a very traditionally male-dominated industry. I worked with her a little bit. She landed the Coca-Cola account in the 70s, which was a huge deal. You talk about old boys club, and she broke right through that. So the Janelle Nevins Memorial Trailblazer Award, why don't you start us off, Kirby?
Okay. Well, I can't remember. I have a little bit of an inkling that I used this last year. So if I did, you'll just have to forgive me and
Yeah.
refund my pay. So my for this one is JQ, Jenna Caranta, and the reasoning is I do think she's positioning herself in such a unique way of becoming sort of one of the sales trainers of the industry, and she's created her own the FSM methodology, and she's doing. I think it's fascinating because I've seen it work with Jade, my daughter, in the sense that we've gone through it and it has re-affected how we do business with HPG. So it's
Yeah.
become a sales tool by her
Yeah.
giving value. And so I just think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
No, I can't. I totally agree with you. And actually, she's going to be on the podcast here in the next couple of
Oh,
weeks.
love that.
And she has really carved out a niche for herself. So I think that's a great one. I have two choices, shockingly enough. I'm going to go start off with Denise Taschereau at Fairware. She is the former board chair, most recent
That's a good
board
one.
chair, immediate past board chair for the PPAI board. But running Fairware, she had such foresight to really focus on sustainability, not as a practice, but as a business model. And they're,
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware, the first certified B Corp in the industry. And so you talk about something that's a trailblazer. I think that Denise Taschereau would define that. And then the
totally.
other one is Ellen Tucker, who is the Chief Revenue and
Mm,
Experience Officer at PPAI. She has weathered, for lack of a better term, some leadership changes. That's not bad. That's just an is. That's just corporate life. And she's
yeah,
done a very good job weathering those and really inheriting a very successful product in PPAI Expo, which she is responsible for, and has not only helped continue to elevate it, she's also reshaping it and redefining it and continuing it
mm.
as the premier event in the promotional products industry. So, Denise Taschereau and Ellen Tucker,
I
Memorial
love it.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, but Denise is awesome. Agreed. And Ellen has been with me on like a dine around and
Yep.
managed to keep me somewhat in line. And so Super powerful.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Next one, the T. Hamilton Memorial Creative Woman Award. If you weren't familiar with T, boy, did you miss out. You talk
Yeah.
about a creative force of nature. She passed away from cancer, I think, about 5.5 years ago. Uh, Man, a long time. But she
Mm.
was absolutely just a creative force of nature. And I can't say enough things about her, so I'm not going to go on and
Yep.
on and on. But so, creative woman, I'll start us off.
Yep.
Michelle Harris from Karst in South
Mm.
Carolina. I love her.
Mm.
First of all, it starts with her title. She's not the president. She's not the founder. She's not anything. She's the controller of chaos. And I
I love
freaking
it.
love that.
I love that.
Every time I have a conversation with Michelle, and it's unfortunately not often enough, I really realize how differently she sees the world. And to me, that is one of the definitions of creativity. They just see the
Yeah.
world differently. And she really, really, really does that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited about this one because I've given a lot of thought to this, and Vera Minot. So she's with Southwest Promotions. Vera was on the Rising Stars list. I got to know her through that. I've met her several times. We actually had breakfast, Jade, Vera, and I out in Vegas. I think the way that she views the industry is different than the way I do it. The way that she views culture is different than I do it, and she's so thoughtful and kind and respectful. And what you said was exactly right, is that she views things differently than everybody else. And but also she has a creative eye to how she does the business. This is one of my favorite ones, but Vera for sure.
Love that. I'm going to add one more. Carson Ronquetto, who promo
Mm,
kitchen chef, but she's
yes.
also a partner and chief operating officer at Super Deluxe. Everything she touches is amazing. In
Yes.
her mind for details, not the ones that don't matter, but the ones that truly elevate things from good to holy shit, that's amazing, is phenomenal. So Carson Ronquetto is my other one for the
I
T.
love
Hamilton
that.
Creative Woman Award.
Love it. Love it.
All right, we got two more. The
Okay.
Charity Gibson Social Media Woman of Distinction. We had to retire Charity. This is the ninth time we've done this list, and you can't have someone on there every year. So now she's on there every year as a titular, the title of this award.
Yeah.
So thank you, Charity, for being such a trailblazer in social media. You're disqualified from the list. Because that's a good thing,
Because you're on the
right? When you
list.
have an
Because
award, you have an award named after you. That's a good thing.
yeah.
Um, I'm going to double up. I'm going to go JQ, Jenna Quaranta
Mhm.
from HPG.
Love
Her
that.
presence, what we talked about when you spoke about her earlier, we talked about what she's building and carving out a niche for herself. No denying that. There's also no denying how well she is really leveraging social media to get
Yeah.
her message across in a platform that is just addled with noise. For
Mhm.
someone to cut through like that, I pay attention. And so JQ Jenna Quaranta.
Dude, zero argument with that. I love it. So mine is, I'm excited about this one too. Savannah Dimitru,
Mhm.
Savannah Merch Girly. So she does a really great job. And again, back to the idea that she looks at the world differently than I do. I've had her on my podcast, and in sitting down with her, it was everything I hoped it would be. She was so articulate, so funny, so like, and so she's one of those people that every time she posts, I pay attention. And then
Yeah.
also she does the thing that not everybody does, is she treats social media social, is she engages with other people's content. So many people treat it just as media. And so she does a great job of both sides of that.
Yeah, can't argue with that one. I had her on my podcast here on this
Yep.
podcast
Yep.
about a month, 2 months ago, whatever it was, and she was phenomenal. She absolutely killed it. I'm going to add one more because I'm going to stop
It's your
apologize for
list.
that. Kyla Powell Emery, she was on this list last year as someone on the rise. I'm going to put her in the social media category this year for
Okay.
Blue Phoenix branding. She took over marketing for a good sized distributorship out there in Idaho, family business, and she's absolutely killing it.
Mm.
Again, cuts through the noise. That's kind of my definition of someone who's really doing great on social media. In what they're doing at Blue Phoenix, and she's driving that is absolutely amazing. They're launching a podcast soon, and we always joke, yeah, it's exactly what the world needs is another podcast.
Mm.
That's what I'm actually looking forward to listening to.
Yeah, no,
All right,
absolutely. I think that's great.
the final category, the woman you'd hire to run your company. I will start us off, Kirby. Chelsea Williams from Spark Branded Solutions.
Mm.
If you
Yeah.
don't know Chelsea Williams, I don't believe I've ever met a human, male, female, doesn't matter, a human more driven than she is. And I mean that
Mm,
in every positive sense of the word. Everything she does with her business is beyond intentional. There's no thought that doesn't come back to how do we get better as a collective. She views her group as a team and she's assembling a great team. People are joining left and right. I mean, she is building a powerhouse there. She's passionate, she's smart, and truly she inspires me. And so Chelsea Williams from Spark Branded Solutions.
cool. All right. So can I do two this time?
You can do as 15 if you want.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll start by saying I think I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my team because they're obviously the people I choose to do business with every day. And there's several women on it. Wendy is our finance person. Claire helps with customer service. And Jade, of course, is the person that we are training to run our company. So, but I wanted to at least give them a shout out, but keep that separate from this list. So my first one on this is going to be Ashley Coletti. So Ashley, I
Absolutely.
love you mentioned earlier what Spectre and Company is
Yeah.
doing, and it's exactly right. So it could be I could start naming all of the powerhouse women that are from Spectre, and obviously Sam Cates is creating that team. But Ashley is one of those people that every time I interact with her, I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel lifted up. I feel like she's doing a great job. She makes me feel like I'm doing a better job for myself, and that's the kind of person I would want running my team.
Love that. Well, my second one is Alicia Rhodes from Action Plus Ideas
Mm.
in North Carolina. And what I love about Alicia, I've known Alicia for about 5 years. She rose through the ranks to become president of that organization. And what I love about her is whenever we chat, she's just gotten her hands dirty with something. She's not
Mm.
too good for the busy work, the hard work, the grunt work, the ugly work that we all have to do. And she is smart as a whip. She when she makes decisions, and as leaders, that you have to make decisions that are sometimes very very difficult.
Yeah.
Even when they're the right ones, sometimes they're difficult ones. And she's very thoughtful and intentional about making decisions. Takes everything into consideration, but once she makes a decision, she's decisive, and I love decisiveness in every human. So Alicia Rhodes from Action Plus Ideas.
Cool. Okay. My final one, I'm going to go with Stephanie Hinkle.
Yep.
Stephanie is one of those
Made to
people who
order.
yeah. So uh, when I think of Stephanie, I think of energetic, like smart, all those things, but also connector. She was one of the people that reached, like, really connected with Jade when she first
Yep.
came to the industry in a time when she didn't have to. And I think that you see that she's a part of the CCX group and all that. Like, those people who are connectors tend to be really good leaders.
Yep.
And so if I were to have somebody run my team, I'd want somebody like that.
Awesome. Well, as we always say at the end of this
Yeah.
podcast, is that those people who we'd hired to run our company, we know what their first order of business would be. It'd be to fire Kirby and me. But before I read that closing read, I do want to share three things. And I didn't run this by Kirby. I don't care. It's not his podcast anymore.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if we miss someone, because we don't know it all. If we miss someone, tell us. Put it in the comments, email us, let us know. We really would like to know. If you know these fabulous ladies, please support them. Look what they're doing. Be inspired by them. And the ones you don't know, introduce yourself to them, or at the
Yes.
very least, follow them. Because I will tell you, every person on this list is doing truly, truly phenomenal things.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Yep.
Okay. So the other thing I'd say is there are people who I know for sure should be on this list, and we just don't have the space to put them all on. And there are people who I've got written down here. So just know that if you weren't on the list, it doesn't mean that we're not thinking highly of you because there's so many great women doing good things in the industry.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Before I let Kirby go and get back to whatever his vest wearing day looks like, I want to say a huge thanks to our friends over at Bell Promo for sponsoring this fine broadcast. When you're looking for the lowest minimum, deepest inventory, 5-star and A+ service, yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Kirby, it wouldn't be this list if I didn't have you do it with me. So thank you again for taking the time. I know you put a lot of work and research into it and truly appreciate it. It's always fun and frankly
Always.
easy podcasting with you. So this is great.
Thanks, buddy. Always, always appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time on Between Two Brands.